A number of agencies in our area help children with developmental disabilities. United Services for Children is one of those wonderful organizations, and Julia Crutchfield from United Services is here to provide a closer look at autism. Julia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
United Services does a great job of helping children with developmental disabilities. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. United Services for Children is a nonprofit organization that works in part with United Way. We also have funding from people around the community, as well as we partner with local school districts. We partner with Fort Zumwalt, St. Charles, and Orchard Farm. So we provide early childhood for those school districts, as well as we're branching out into other things such as providing outpatient pediatric therapy.
And one of those developmental disabilities that you do work with is autism. What exactly is autism?
Autism or autism spectrum disorder is the disorders of brain development. So an individual can look very different that has autism spectrum disorder. They may have difficulties with their social interactions, they may have difficulties with verbal or nonverbal communication skills, and they also have difficulties with stereotypical behaviors that they participate in. They may have difficulties communicating with you and knowing how to position their body and that natural space between us that creates that comfortable communication, as well as they may be talking to you from long distances and not realizing that that's inappropriate to start a conversation across the room when they can't hear you or you can't hear them. Their communication can be different with nonverbal and verbal communication. Some individuals with autism spectrum disorder are verbal. They may learn phrases that they repeat over and over and use at appropriate times, but they have difficulty creating their own thoughts and ideas. There are some individuals who are nonverbal. About 25% of the group tend to be nonverbal, and they may use pictures or an iPad or something to communicate their wants and needs. Individuals with autism spectrum disorder also have difficulties with stereotypical behaviors. About 60% of the group may have below average intelligence, so you're looking at 40% that have average or above average. They also have physical differences, difficulties with sleep, difficulties with eating, gut and intestinal issues. So that's a concern, as well as attention. Attention can be shortened, and it can be harder for them to stick with a task and learn from the task.
If someone notices some of these stereotypical behaviors, what are some signs and symptoms of autism?
If you're engaging with your child and at 6 months of age you still feel like you don't have that clear connection, you're not getting that feedback and feeling like this little person is responding to all the social interactions you're presenting him or her with, that could be a red flag. By 9 months, if a child isn't making those back and forth sounds with you, again, that could be a concern. And at 12 months, if your child isn't participating in babbling, that's typical for that age, or responding to social cues such as reaching up for you and wanting you to hold him or her, showing you toys. Kids get really excited about showing you stuff. Waving, pointing, those gestures, those are all things that we look for. If your child hits 16 months of age and they're still not using words, that might be a concern. And at 24 months of age, we really look at children starting to combine some thoughts to words, original things, to show what they're thinking and feeling. And if children aren't doing that, it might be something that you want to mention because it could be a concern, and maybe it's something and maybe it's not.
And the individuals, obviously we're talking about children at this point in time, but
Sure.
People can definitely become active members of their community.
Absolutely.
What are some of the treatments that can be put into place that can help both the individual that may be suffering from autism and then also their families as well?
Earlier intervention is a huge thing, of course. So earlier we start, the better. Working with these children and putting a team into place of intensive behavioral therapy, helping these children learn from their environment, basically. We're teaching these children how to access information and learn. And as they grow through the school system, then they can continue to get support from their communities and participate in their communities, much in the same way that many of us can. We all have something to contribute So it just may be to varying degrees.
You talk about the community. Why is it important for us to be promoting autism, and what are the benefits of doing this?
Well, currently the statistics are pretty scary. 1 in 88 children are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which, when you think about it, it's about 2 million people in the United States. So, you know, somewhere along the line, you're going to encounter somebody that has this difference. So it is important to get funding out there and to start working to help these individuals become successful so that they can live productive and happy lives such as you and I, and contribute back to society in the way that they want to.
And one of the programs that's popular here in St. Charles County is a new Care Check program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
What benefits can it do?
Sure. Children with autism spectrum disorder and older children, because these children grow into adults and they may be bigger in body, but not necessarily developmentally. They may not have caught up. So it is very important that we monitor these children and help support them. And some of these children tend not to know safety concerns. One of those things being wanderers. There are many children who don't understand that they can't just walk out the door and walk away. So Care Track is a system that's been put into place, a program that St. Charles County families can participate in. It's basically a tracker that they can wear on their wrist or their ankle, and it's able to help them. Let's say your child goes wandering out, you're able to call 911 and you're able to locate that child via 911, the emergency system then. So they're able to track the children within like a 1 mile radius, so that would be very important.
Well, thanks, Julie, for this information, and thanks so much for United Services and what you do.
Thank you.